Hey, welcome to the Practitioner's Heart, offering practical Buddhist wisdom for a sustainable practice for therapists and healthcare workers. If you are keen to learn more and deepen your practice beyond the theoretical understanding of Buddhism, if you are finding it hard to calm your little active mind after therapy work, I welcome you to join me to dive a little deeper. Each episode, I'll be sharing some common issues that therapists may face when integrating and practicing awareness, compassion within themselves and also supporting clients. I'll be sprinkling some pearls of wisdom that I've learned from my master and teachers that will be helpful as internal resources for the helpers in us. I'll also be interviewing other therapists who are on this spiritual path together to share their experiences of how they integrate and practice wisdom and compassion in their daily lives. I want to let you know that you're not alone. You are part of a bigger community who aspire for greater soul alignment, growth, purpose, and awakening. That we can strike a balance of juggling our busy modern life as therapists with a clear mind and an open heart. I hope to inspire more practitioners to explore deeper spiritual meaning and purpose on our path to enlightenment and awakening. I'm your host, Po Gan, a psychologist, a Buddhist practitioner, a parent of 2 children, a fellow human being with a busy mind, but with a great inspired vision for collective awakening. Let's begin. This is part 2 of my conversation with Dr. Louise Hayes. In part 1, we explore presence, identity, and the practice that sustain us as therapists. In this second half, we moved into Louise's work, DNAV, developmental psychology, supporting young people, and a really meaningful conversation about burnout and practitioner well-being. Let's dive back in. Hope you enjoyed it.
And what do you wish that the listeners could pay more attention to as they are learning new psychology, therapy models, and all of that? And what are the things that we're talking about that area?
I'll make it really easy. Noticing, being a
Noticing.
Being aware of not just you, but of other people too, whether they're clients that you're working with or people that you are being with. Being able to practice that skill of noticing and not automatically responding. I think that's what psychology is, right? Is learning how to notice, to be aware of what's happening in my body, what's happening in your body, what's happening on your face, what's going on for me, noticing and the world around us, and noticing the way that energy arises between us. And I think that what happens is as we grow, we get automatic responses. So inside that noticing is also being aware of the way we respond and the way we learn to respond. What I often say to my clients is being aware of the patterns. That somebody looks at me with a stern face and my pattern of responding might be to try to apologize or to try to make things right. And so being aware of that, noticing everything that's unfolding and then just pausing and allowing yourself to do something different or to not respond or to change it. I think that's aware of our past, aware of the patterns, aware of the way we get hooked. I think it all comes down to being a noticer.
Yes. And I guess like the noticer and understanding, it's related to practicing the awareness and returning to that profound being and being aware of what is arising in us. And that's the part where the practices have helped us to really anchor that skills, isn't it?
I think so. And it doesn't sound very smart. Like it's not got big fancy words. You know, like in psychology, we love all those big fancy words. And it doesn't have big fancy words, but I actually think noticing is about the most profound thing and the most useful thing that we can do. So whether I'm working with a 5-year-old or a 95-year-old, being able to be aware of what's happening for you and what's happening for the people around you and the world around you and where your energy is going and what energy you're receiving can just change things. Unfortunately, it's not automatic and it's something that you have to do repeatedly because of the way learning works. If you've learned to be worried when someone has a worried face, then you're going to continue to have that pattern, and noticing and pausing and choosing to respond differently is something we need to do forever. But I don't think it's that hard.
Yeah. It's just a matter of being conscious and being aware of that and actually choosing to practice. Because a lot of the time, it's so easy to go with the patterns.
Exactly. When I say I don't think it's hard, I mean I don't think it's technically hard. It's actually really hard to do all it's really hard to do all the time. But I don't think it's technically something hard to grasp the concept of.
Definitely. I agree with you.
And that quote I said before, to live in captivity is to live in the narrow corridor of our concepts. So if you think of the way we see the world as this corridor of everything you've learned and everything you know kind of sits down this corridor. And if you can just look somewhere else, other things happening and other ways, and then you're free for a second until you get back trapped inside your corridor.
I think I'm going to put that quote in my notes now. I like that quote a lot. So, because your model with DNAV centered around young people, what are some of the essential skills or stands that you think will be helpful when working with young people? While you're here, I wanted to pick your brain about what is different about working with young people and what have they taught you about healing?
Oh, that's such a great question. I want to answer that bit first. I'll answer the first bit first. I think the thing with young people is they're like the canary in the coal mine. We are watching our young people struggle like they have never struggled before. I think those reasons are complex and not just one thing. We have really complex lives with lots of images and social media and lots of learning and knowledge that you have to take in school, and lots of image things and fashion things. They're drowning in the concepts of who they should be and never feeling like they actually kind of meet who they should be. So much pressure.
I agree.
Sometimes when I'm working with adolescents, I will be a little bit cheeky and say, do you know that there used to be a time when people didn't have mirrors? And sometimes they're just like, what? I'm like, think about it. Imagine growing up not knowing what you look like, only knowing what you look like by the way other people look at you. Right now, we've kind of trapped young people in the exterior of what they look like. The clothes, fashion and social media are drowning in concepts and words and knowledge and what your grades are. It's really exhausting. And I worry that it's really hard.
Yeah. I was thinking about watching my kids growing up and being a parent. My kids are 10 years old and 12 years old, watching them as they go and, how innocent they were when they were born, teaching them language and teaching them to, compare and evaluate what is good, what is bad, and, all of that. And then they now have this kind of like set of ego or like this image of I. And that's where I think yes, you're right, that because of how the world has evolved over time, what they have experienced is amplified compared to the times where we were growing up.
Yeah. I has become really important. And it traps us and it traps them. So if you think about it, just imagine that you are holding one of your children's hands, right? And just imagine that you're holding their hand and there's no way to do that wrong. You're holding their hand and they're holding yours. And it's that being that I think we could probably do more of. that just which I call noticing, is just being, and for them to get a sense that there's that part of them that is not wrong, that is always just as it needs to be. And then there's all the concepts and the stuff, the languaging stuff, the kind of, we're in a sea of words that traps us. So I think getting out of that sea of words into this place where you are in your body and just doing the things that your body knows how to do. Like when you dive in the water, it's hot and summery at the moment. When you dive in the water and the cool water, you can feel it on your body, and it just is, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing I think that we could help our young people with.
Yeah.
Is just finding
More
ways
of the
to
experiencing.
Yeah, and finding ways to know that they're okay in there, that their body knows what to do and that they're okay. When you hold someone's hand, you're doing that right.
Yeah.
And that's a really important part of us. When you hug someone, when you hug your mum, you're doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And connecting with that part of us.
Yes. I was imagining the other day where we were in the car driving back home and I was holding my daughter's hand next to her, and that connecting, that being, and that warmth of the hand. And I think you're right. And sometimes the world can be overwhelming, but that being with that safety that we can provide in the relationships are sometimes more important than other things. Yeah.
That's when you know you're okay, right? And you can't be mad at someone when you hold their hand either. Not for long.
That's true.
If you're holding it and squeezing it, that's not holding it.
Holding it with warmth. Most of the time when you're holding with warmth, you can't be angry.
And then the other part of the question that I'd really love to answer is, what have young people taught me to not take myself too seriously?
I
remember this 17-year-old girl I was working with years ago. I was talking and she just looked at me and she said, "Your lips are moving, but all I can hear is blah, blah, blah." And at the time I was so ashamed, but I thought, I'm supposed to be a psychologist. But, those kind of lessons are like, I was probably full of myself and thought I was really smart. I think when you work with young people, they will say things to you that maybe an adult client might not say. That kind of comment, you're probably not likely to get a 40-year-old person say that to you. Maybe, but it's far less likely. Young people have helped me a lot because they will say, "I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't work for me." So I'll just be honest and tell you. And I think that kind of forces you to be real.
Yeah. And be humble as well, along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's lovely. I really like your answers. I think it is so true. And sometimes if we take ourselves too seriously, that's where we start to get into words and continue to stir in our head. Oh, why didn't that session go well? And then, more suffering within us. A lot of therapists over time, because of how things have changed and the systems that we're in, there's a lot of paperwork and demands working as a therapist now. And a lot of people have experienced compassion fatigue or empathy fatigue and burnout. And what are some of your advice or suggestions for them in terms of how to deal with that? Were there times where you felt stretched thin, and how do you recuperate, or how do you rest and recover?
I think you're the expert in burnout, so you should tell me.
No, but I feel like you have had the experience of practicing for over 2 decades. And are there times that these happen to you, and how do you
there have been times when have been times when I've been burnt out. And I was just saying to someone today, actually, that a few years back in the middle of the pandemic, I remember hating my job and thinking, I need to go and be a florist, just work with flowers. I think that when you don't like the thing that you love is a sign that, not that you need to change careers necessarily, but that you're getting to a stage where you're exhausted. So I spoke to someone, a mentor. I made space. It was a really easy solution. Make space.
Yeah.
So I guess I could afford to. That makes a difference too. But I blocked off space in my diary and left some space white. because
Yeah.
my mentor said, "You are allergic to white space in your diary." I made some space, and that really reinvigorated
Mm.
my career and allowed me to do some things creatively and to think, in this empty space that I've got, what kind of creativity do I want? What do I do? And that's useful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think if we were to be honest, there will be times along the career as we progress where we feel a little bit tired, a little bit burnout. And like what you described, like, seeking help, getting mentorship and creating space for creativity and reconnecting to something that matters to you. Sounds like a great way to shift and pivot back to having more energy rather than because you're noticing the energy going down and you can also bring it back. And once you reconnect back to what you think is important to you.
Well, that was the case for me. And then the love of what you do comes back too.
The
energy comes back, the love of what you do comes back. And along the way, I think also we get to decide that some things we think are important are not so important. Saying no is good. No is a good word.
Yes. And I think in being aware of the patterns of the responding, like how you were saying before, in my burnout experience is that I tend to say yes very quickly, knowing that was from my past history in growing up and learning about actually I don't have to continue to repeat the same thing anymore and I could do something differently, and that makes the difference, and continue to pivot over and over again and making changes over and over again. That helps us to keep feeling like I can do this.
And then you'll say yes again because you feel like you have to.
Yes.
And keep doing it.
I guess that's the part about the Buddhism practice that's been so grounding, really noticing the attachment that we have. I remember you saying the striving of that ego and feeling like, oh, I need to do it for this. There's Po and what I think I should be doing versus what is actually the most important thing if I were to strip off all of those labels.
So don't be living like a hungry ghost.
Yes. It's so cool to be able to talk to you and, when you say something and I was like, yes, I know, and that thing. And then it's to have that same frequency. I really enjoyed our conversation today. I think I was going to go into what inspires you into the next part of the psychology and mental health, but I think maybe we can keep that for a future conversation. I would love to have you coming back again. Yeah. The last question. Okay. If you could plant one seed in the hearts of the practitioners listening, what would it be? Out of all the conversations that we have talked about and your experience practicing for such a long time, having experienced psychology and Buddhism and joining the two together, what would that one seed that you would like to have them being aware of?
I think your presence with your client is far more important than any words you say.
I love that.
I think knowing that your presence and your ability to just be there is far more important than anything else.
I love that. Not running away, not trying to hide under another thing, but just
trying to bring out something fancy.
Yes. But so often we felt like we need to, right? Or maybe that's just the conditioning.
And yet we feel seen and heard when somebody just listens to us.
Yes. And that's the most powerful gift that we can have in that relationship with the person in that 1 hour.
Yeah.
I love
I think
that.
so.
Yeah. And what do you hope listeners carry into their practice after hearing this conversation?
What do I hope they carry in? I guess I want to say letting go of the striving and the perfectionism that we often end up having through our studies, just letting go and being present. And then all of your training will come. If you just let go and be present with the client and allow yourself to just let go of the need to have all that stuff, then I think all of your training comes, and then you say the right things. Say the things that are important to say.
Yeah, because you're fully aware being here and now.
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your wisdom and presence today.
I've loved talking to you, Po. That's really fun.
Thank you so much. If the listeners would like to know a bit more about your work, where can they find you?
Just my website, which I presume you'll have in the notes, but louisehayes.com.au.
Okay.
But it's been so nice to talk to you, Po, and I just wish you all the best for this podcast, because I think that what you bring is really important and really what we need. I mean that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
As we close our practice for today, I want to thank you for sharing this time. If this episode resonated with you, the most meaningful way to support the podcast is to share it. Share it with a colleague or leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps our community to reach other people who need it. Until next time, keep your heart open, keep your mind clear and steady. Go be your amazing self as you awaken yourself and others. See you next time. Just a gentle reminder that our conversation today is for inspiration and education only. It is not a substitute for therapy or clinical supervision, and our time together doesn't constitute a therapeutic relationship.